my underlying narrative of that I'm constantly, that I just take with me everywhere. People don't like me. I'm fat. I'm not attractive. I'm a piece of shit. I'm like, it's only a matter of time until I f everything up, right?
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time until people know the real me, and then they're not going to like me anymore. Those are the things that just constantly are kind of spinning around in my head. And the vast majority of the time they're subconscious, right? I'm not sitting there verbalizing them out loud and saying them, but those are the thoughts that are going through my mind every single day. I look in the mirror, you're fat. I get in and out of the car, I'm fat. I'm all of these things. It's just this continual ongoing narrative of the worth and value that I see for myself is being very, very low. Yeah. And it's only a matter of time again until everybody else sees it and recognizes it. And then they're not going to like me. Yeah. I'm not going to have friends. I'm not going to have, the life that I have, all of these kind of things. And so I've had to counter all of that stuff consistently throughout time with all of these different things to basically counter that so that I can move through life. But I've also had to really look and question, why do I have that base programming? Why is that my default mode of thinking that I'm not worthy of this thing, this life, this experience, right? That I'm always trying to make up for something, that I'm always at the bottom, that I'm always not the one that's being picked or chosen. And I'm fascinated by it because I think the vast majority of people have a similar program, right? I think it's something that we kind of just grow up with because of whatever. I don't even know, right? The myriad of reasons why people think this way about themselves. But I think that it's really important to talk about because it is the thing that people don't want to talk about. Yeah. It is the thing that we want to joke about and skirt past. And it's like, what drives that narrative for you? Can you make any connection and correlation to your past and the things that maybe you went through, maybe the things that you saw? I can see a lot of the way that I see myself and the perception of myself. I can see that through the lens of that's how my parents saw themselves. And I was picking up some of that behavior subconsciously by seeing how they viewed themselves in the world and how they moved through the world and things like that, right? Yeah. Same thing with my older brothers, because I'm basing everything as a child off of that, right? How the people around me are moving through life and behaving and acting and thinking. And so a lot of it, I know that's where a lot of it has come for me.
Well, so what you just said, and I think what you just said is kind of for me, you saw your older brothers, you saw your parents, you observed that, right? And you compared internally. I'm saying you, I compared my self-worth internally to everything I observed. And as I think humans, as men, I think that we have a tendency to pick up on the positives. Those stick out more, right? The bigger things, the good things and stuff like that. And I compare internally my vision, my thoughts of myself to these things, right? As a child, my dad was always stronger than me. So I always was not up to snuff because I observed him being stronger than me. I knew that there were other people who were like, the teacher would ask the question and like their hand went up and I'm like, I don't even understand the question yet. Like I observed them knowing that fast. So I built a lot of that value off of how I observed others to myself. So it's this comparison. And I think that's where, especially where we see a lot of things today, there's more comparison now. When we were growing up, there was no social media. There was barely cable. Like I had the 3 4 clicks on the dial with the tinfoil on the bunny ears, right? So you got to watch, like, I compared myself to Barbara Streisand, like whatever, because that's what was.
I love that. That's where your brain went.
I don't know. She was the person on the TV, right?
To Barbara Streisand.
Barbara Streisand. Barbara.
I compare myself to Barbara Streisand
all the
too,
time, right?
We could just never measure up.
No,
to old Babs.
never. Barb, so good. But I think that we see those in our community and like those around us and those that we are surrounded by, and we look at what they're doing and then we compare that with what we're doing. And if I see someone do something cool, I'm not doing anything cool like that. If I growing up, we watched racing. My dad and we would watch a lot of like drag racing, funny car, like stuff like that. We would watch that and I'd be like, man, and I remember thinking to myself, how cool is that? Or even like the junior dragsters, right? Like, how cool is it that kid's driving a junior drag? Like, I'm not driving that. Like, I got a shitty mini bike in the backyard that I like stole some lawnmower engine off the guy down the road. And that's not true. But so I think we compare ourselves to all this stuff that's out there in the world. And because, like, I don't compare myself to the 65-year-old guy that lives across the street who's retired. Like, I don't compare myself to him. I compare myself to the guy that I saw on the poster, right? I compare myself to the guy playing in the NFL. Even to this day, I look at, like, you see these guys, I'm like, that guy's not that big, right? And I'm like, he's in the NFL. Like, I'm not. Like, I could probably do that.
I think you're right. I think it is comparison. I think that's a big component of it, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's like, you're comparing yourself to your dad, and obviously your dad's going to be stronger than you for a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
Until at some point in life. But today, moving through life, how much are you still comparing yourself to the outside world?
I'm a lot better now. And I think a lot of that had to do with, I have spent a fair amount of time in just therapy and seeing other people and stuff like that, and feeling really low, feeling high, feeling in all these different areas. And at some point, to go back to my wife, I wish you worked out again. I'm like, that's not truly like helping me motivate in that world, because I'm like, I don't care. I know that I am in the top percentage of strength in the world. I know I'm, could I run a marathon right now? I probably could. It would be the worst thing that I've ever done. And I might die afterwards. Physically, I might just fall down and die. My body would be like, too much. But I'm not trying to run a marathon right now, so it doesn't matter to me, right? And I think at this point in my life, and you know what? I'll be actually, let me take this back a notch and be a little more real. I have probably had enough near-death experiences that shit just doesn't matter anymore. And so this is, I have said this to myself quite a bit, and to my wife, is I'm already on borrowed time. Like, I've already exceeded what in my mind should have been my expiration date.
Okay.
And so everything from here is a gift.